One stroke isn't something that just happens. It's often the result of the way we live. You know, a stroke doesn't just happen out of the blue. It's not like a bolt of lightning. It builds quietly over time, through the days we sit too long, the weeks we ignore our blood pressure, the years we let poor circulation go unchecked. And here's the truth. Even small daily changes, like just 5 minutes of light movement, can dramatically lower your risk. I once had a patient, Joseph, 62 years old. He ran a small auto repair shop just outside of town. He used to tell me, "Doc, I work all day on my feet. That's enough exercise, right?" Until one morning, he collapsed in his garage. Luckily, it wasn't a major stroke, but it was enough of a wake-up call that he never forgot. I want you to imagine something for a moment. Picture a bridge connecting your brain to your memory, your speech, your ability to walk and move. That bridge is built day by how you live. Every time you choose to skip movement, smoke, or push through stress, you loosen one brick. But every time you move your body, stretch your limbs, breathe deeply, you lay down another brick. Stronger, steadier. Just 5 minutes a day, that's all it takes. No gym, no fancy clothes. You can start by walking around your yard, gently stretching, rolling your shoulders, or even just breathing deeply out on your porch. Have you ever woken up feeling a little slower, a little stiffer than last year? That's your body asking for help. And those 5 minutes, they're how you say, "I hear you. I'm taking care of you." From a medical perspective, I can tell you this. Even just a few minutes of daily movement can lower blood pressure, improve circulation, and reduce your stroke risk by up to 50%. That's not just a theory, it's backed by research, and I've seen it firsthand. Joseph now walks his neighborhood every morning for 7 minutes. Not fast, not intense, just steady steps and deep breaths. A year later, he told me, "Doc, I'm not just healthier. I feel more at peace." You can start tomorrow morning. Don't wait for illness to force you to change. Let every small step be a choice to love yourself and a quiet promise to the future version of you who's still here, living well. 2. The role of gentle movement in blood flow and stroke prevention. Have you ever sat still for so long that your legs began to feel heavy, like the blood just stopped flowing? I want you to picture this. Imagine a small stream flowing through your garden, nourishing every plant, every root. Now imagine that stream stops. What happens? The leaves wilt, the roots dry up, life slows down. That's what happens inside your body when blood stops circulating properly. My name is Dr. Robert. I'm 52 years old, and for over 2 decades, I've worked with patients over 40. And one thing I've seen over and over again is this. A few minutes of gentle movement every day can drastically reduce your risk of stroke. No medication required. One of my patients, Walter, 67 years old, once said to me, "Doc, I just don't have the energy to walk anymore. I just sit." A few months later, he had a TIA, a mini stroke. Luckily, he survived. That scare changed him. He started walking in his backyard every morning for just 10 minutes. 6 months later, his blood pressure was better. He slept deeper, and he told me, "Doc, I feel clear in my head again." You see, movement, even light stretching, raising your arms, slow walking, gets your blood moving. It clears the vessels, reduces plaque buildup, lowers inflammation, and delivers more oxygen to your brain. You don't need to run a marathon, just remind your body, "I'm still here. I still care." You ever know someone who sat still most of the day and one day just collapsed without warning? Many stroke patients I've met had one thing in common: poor circulation from a sedentary lifestyle, and nobody thought sitting still could be so dangerous. I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to remind you that every small movement is a vote for your health. Every stretch, every step is your way of saying, "I'm choosing life. I'm not waiting for a hospital bed to realize how precious it is to move." Start small, today. Even if it's walking around your living room, stretching your arms while the kettle boils, or standing up every hour. It's not just a habit, it's a promise to your heart, to your brain, to your future. 3. 5-minute routine. Simple but powerful. Have you ever thought that just 5 minutes a day could change the health of your heart and brain? I want you to picture this. A quiet morning, sunlight filtering through your window, And you, instead of rushing out of bed, instead of sitting still for hours, you stand up, take a deep breath, and begin to move gently. No sweating, no pushing, just reminding your body, I'm still here and I'm taking care of myself. I once met Eleanor, 72. She lived alone after her husband passed. She told me, Doctor, I don't have the strength to exercise anymore. I asked, can you stand and stretch your arms? She smiled, well, yes. And from that day on, she started with 5 minutes every morning, marching in place, reaching up, rolling her shoulders and neck. That's it. 6 weeks later, her blood pressure was more stable, her steps felt stronger, and most importantly, she smiled more. You see, exercise doesn't need to be complicated. Sometimes it's as simple as walking in place in your living room, breathing deeply, feeling your body wake up, or sitting in a chair, slowly rolling your neck and shoulders, lifting one knee at a time. Like Tai Chi, slow, steady, mindful. It gets the blood flowing, lowers stress, and gently wakes up the tiny vessels that feed your brain. As a doctor, I've seen it. When we sit too long, blood pools. Plaque builds up, blood pressure rises. These are the quiet culprits behind stroke. But if you give yourself just 5 minutes of movement a day, you're helping your heart pump more efficiently, reducing inflammation in your vessels, and lowering stroke risk without any pills. And if you're thinking, I'm too old to change anything now, let me tell you, the smallest changes are often the most powerful at this age. You don't need to move fast. You just need to not stand still. So, tomorrow morning, what will you choose to do with your first 5 minutes? 4. Patient story. I thought I was too old to change. I want you to sit down, take a slow breath, and imagine this. You're 67 years old. You've just had a transient ischemic attack, a TIA. No memory loss, no paralysis, but deep down, you know it was a warning. And one question keeps echoing in your mind. Is it too late for me to change? Let me tell you about Arthur, one of my patients. He was 67, a widower, living alone in the suburbs. The first time I met him was after a mild TIA. He walked into my office, let out a sigh, and looked at me with the kind of eyes that had given up. He said, Doc, I think my time's about up. I'm too old to change anything. I looked back at him and gently asked, Arthur, what if I told you that just 5 minutes every morning, no gym, no weights, no strain, could help you feel better? Would you give it a try? He chuckled, unsure, but he said yes. On that first day, he simply stood in place, rolled his shoulders a few times, took a few deep breaths, and stretched toward the ceiling. 1 minute, then 2, eventually 5. Every morning he reminded his body, I'm still alive. He wasn't training for a marathon. He just wanted to walk to his garden, cook breakfast, and remember his granddaughter's birthday without forgetting. 6 months later, Arthur's blood pressure was better. He slept more soundly. He felt sharper in the mornings, less drained in the afternoons. And what moved me most, he no longer said, I'm too old to change. Instead, he told me, I wish I had started sooner. Have you ever thought like Arthur? That age is the reason to stop? I'm here to tell you the opposite. Age is the reason to begin. To slow down, go deeper, and start taking care of yourself. Just 5 minutes a day could be the first step back to mental clarity, restful sleep, a steady heartbeat, and trust in yourself again. Don't wait for a major stroke to make a change. Be like Arthur. Stand up, take a deep breath, and begin. Just 5 minutes. But 5 minutes that might change the rest of your life. 5. Simple science. What happens inside your body when you move gently? I want you to picture this, a quiet little stream flowing peacefully through your backyard garden. Now imagine, each time a dry branch falls into that stream and no one clears it, the water starts to slow. The current weakens, and before long, the clear flow turns murky, stagnant, covered in moss. That's your body. Your blood vessels are the streams that carry life everywhere. And even the smallest movement, just a stretch or a step, is like a soft breeze that keeps the flow going, keeps things clean, clear, and moving. Have you ever noticed that when you stand up, stretch a little, or take a few steps, your fatigue seems to fade a bit? That's not just in your head. It's your body responding. Movement, even something as small as rolling your wrists or marching in place, helps your blood vessels open up. Your heart doesn't have to work as hard. Oxygen starts to flow again, reaching your brain, every single cell waking up with it. I once met Mr. Walter, a retired watchmaker, in his 70s. He said to me, "Doc, I can't exercise like the young folks." And I asked him, "Can you walk around the house for 3 minutes each morning?" He chuckled, "Well, I suppose I can." 3 weeks later, his blood pressure was more stable. He felt less dizzy. And the best part? He smiled more. And here's what's fascinating. When blood flows better, your risk of blood clots drops significantly. You don't need medicine for that, not yet. You just need to avoid being still for too long. Just remind your body, I'm still here, and I'm still taking care of myself. As a doctor, I could give you hundreds of numbers, but after years in this profession, I've learned the most important truth. The biggest changes often start with the smallest steps. A deep breath, a shoulder roll, a morning walk around the living room. You don't need to run a marathon. You don't need to spend an hour in the gym. You just need 5 minutes to remind the river inside you to keep flowing. And if you're wondering, is it too late for me? Let me tell you this. As long as you're still breathing, it's not too late. 6. Moving at the right time, especially in the morning. I want you to think back to your most recent morning. How did you get out of bed? Did you rush up, reach for your phone? Or did you sit quietly for a moment before standing? You see, those first few minutes of the day, they're some of the most delicate for your heart and your brain. In my career, I've seen many strokes happen right at sunrise. Not because someone was weak or too old, but because after a long night of rest, our bodies are like parked cars. Blood thickens. Blood pressure can spike the moment you sit up too fast. And if you don't ease into movement, the heart gets startled. So does the brain. I once had a patient named Carl, 68 years old. He told me, "Doc, I always wake up at 6 a.m. and head out for a walk right away." But what he didn't realize was that on one of those mornings, he stood up too quickly, without easing his body into motion, and collapsed right there in the bathroom. Luckily, he made it to the hospital in time and recovered. But it was a powerful lesson. Now, I'm not saying don't move in the morning. In fact, the morning is a beautiful time to get your body going, gently. What matters is how you begin. Try starting your day with just a few simple moves. Sit up in bed. Take 3 slow, deep breaths. Roll your wrists. Loosen your shoulders. Then slowly stand. Walk around the house a little. Stretch. Let your knees loosen. These small motions help your blood start flowing. They regulate your blood pressure. They wake up the tiny blood vessels in your brain and reduce the risk of blood clots, the natural way to protect yourself from stroke. Have you ever noticed? On a peaceful morning, when you're not rushing, your mind feels clearer, your heart feels lighter? That's no coincidence. That's the gift of slowing down and starting your day with intention. As a doctor, I always tell my older patients, tomorrow morning, don't race against time. Walk with it, slowly, mindfully, gently. Because sometimes just a few calm minutes in the morning can be the very thing that protects your future. Final message, 5 minutes a day can protect the next decade of your life. You know, we often underestimate the little things. A deep breath, a gentle stretch, a quiet step across the floor. But sometimes it's those very small things that end up changing everything. I want you to picture this. Every morning you give yourself just 5 minutes, no more, to do one simple thing for your body. Move. Not a hard workout, not some complicated fitness routine. Just stand up, roll your shoulders, take a few deep breaths, walk gently around the room. That's it. And that small act may just be the greatest gift you ever give your heart and your brain. I once met a woman named Helen. She was 75, and she told me, "Doctor, I'm too old to start anything new." And I simply smiled and asked, "Helen, do you have 5 minutes each morning?" She nodded. "Then that's all you need," I said. 6 weeks later, she came back, eyes brighter, voice lighter. She said every morning she played her favorite music, took deep breaths, lifted her knees slowly, stretched her arms like a quiet little dance, and she told me she felt alive again. As a doctor, here's what I've learned after many years. We don't have to change our whole lives in one day. We just need to start with 5 minutes. Those 5 minutes are a message to your body. I care. A promise to your future. I'm not giving up. And a reminder to yourself. I deserve to be strong, clear-minded, and unafraid of aging. And if tomorrow morning you forget, I want you to remember what I'm saying right now. Your 5 minutes today could protect 10 years of your life ahead.